Hello, hello, everybody. You know, they say that the geniuses of the world were beyond and ahead of their time. It was like they saw the future and then was right about it. It wasn't just a random thought. And so they call me an old soul. Well, what are old souls? They're young people with a spirit of an old person. Think about that real quick. And so this chair symbolizes a lot of things for me. When I was listening to a Jay-Z song, and now I'm just a lazy boy, daydreaming in my lazy boy. It's a lazy boy chair. I heard that song years ago, right? And so here's a brand new table I was blessed with from my uncle. New chair, microphone, tools that I love to do. It's a workstation, and I'm just so proud of that. And so I started to realize that back when I was 8 years old, I asked my grandfather to draw me a microphone. I don't know why. My father was obsessed with karaoke. He loved microphones. When I went to the arcade with my aunt and uncle when I was a kid, we won a prize, a toy prize, and it was a toy microphone. Years later, here I am. On my birthday, I saw a Polaroid symbol, the rainbow color, and I just had this crazy vision where when the light was shining from my friend's cell phone towards me, I told him that he was the light in my life and that I was a crystal child. And I thought about the Pink Floyd prism, the light to the crystal shines that rainbow. It was almost as if people in my life shine and inspire me in spirit, inspire. And it just shined a manifestation into the physical. And I had a vision. So I created this vision. And this is my subconscious and to my conscience. And so I realized that my dream was to create beautiful images and pictures and videos for friends of mine in my life, telling a story. I've always been a storyteller. Here I am. I think what made this happen in such a rate that it did was because I started to live in my truth. I started to stand up for myself towards adversity that was trying to pull me down. And I would call one of them, who's a close loved one of mine. I said that they were a dream killer because they didn't live their dreams. And so I am. And it was just building resentments, It's kind of crazy because you bring people into this world that they didn't ask for, and when they finally become happy, you resent that. It's a contradiction. But I decided to say, if I ever was at the dinner table with a dirty look, and if they asked me how I would just say I am happy and healthy, genuinely. And what I want to see is what they respond to that. Because at the end of the day, our loved ones, we want them to be happy and healthy. Right? When I simplified that, I rid myself of a lot of shame and fear. Because I knew that the bigger picture was that it didn't matter what I was doing with my life, as long as I took care of myself. So some of you could be doing whatever you want to do, but you're not taking care of yourself, and what you don't realize is that it affects those around you, and most importantly, yourself. And so, how can I inspire people and motivate others and say anything to anybody if I'm not living in my truth and living my life to the fullest potential? And nobody's perfect in this world. But see, what's worth the wait is worth it all. And so, creating this video with this light, this camera, and everything took time. But most people just want to pull out their iPhones and take a quick selfie, and that's fine. Me, it requires some editing, it requires some lighting, it requires money, it requires some sort of discipline. And over time, it became a way of life. I started to use my camera work as the same philosophies for how I look at life. I started to understand that these things take time and it takes a lot of information to be absorbed. But because it made me happy, it was making me feel unstoppable towards my thirst for knowledge of specific things that I really value. I started to focus more on what I value and gave my time and energy to it. I got rid of distractions. I spent time alone. I went to nature. I put my phone down, even put my camera down. I let the thoughts flow to me. I let spirit talk to me. Spirit knew my body before I came into this world. And so it's the same thing with how fast the light travels. Isn't spirit light? I don't know. I don't have all the answers. And so I just feel like it's just very important for me at this time period. I started to really look at and appreciate life more when I got into videography, because I realized that I am a legitimate creator of it. Vlogging, YouTube, it's crazy. It's really, really, really wonderful. And I can always look back on my progression. Success, they say, is a progression of a worthy ideal. And in this place, I started to see opportunities from the things that I love to do. I started to see people reach out, pay me, take me out to travel with them. And that was because I was living in that truth, and they were in that same wavelength frequency. You know, my boy, his name is Truth, true. The real recognize the real, man. And I just, of course, there was adversity. I continuously just stood up for myself instead of be a pushover, and that was just something that I struggled with throughout my life. I started to understand what conditionings were and subconscious programmings when I started to observe people carry certain traits that their parents have. I started to think about all the things that happened 10, 15 years ago, and I started to realize that, the other day, for example, I felt my friend's dark spirit of a hurt little boy. There was a hurt child inside of him. And I told him about it because he had a rough upbringing. And so one of my favorite spiritual teachers, he said that when you're 10 years old and somebody called you stupid, and then 10 years later somebody else calls them stupid and they react to it, they if they have a softened voice, I'm not stupid. It's like a child inside of you. You have to really think about this and exercise your mind. And so he said, but when somebody calls you stupid and you respond positively, not react negatively, you're just like, okay, I'm not stupid. And you believe that, you pop a bubble of the subconscious mind and break a cycle of programming, and you become your new self, creating a new life. And I'm starting to see patterns and repeated events occurring, like oh my God, when am I going to learn? And I started to adapt to this new self of mine, and I started to emit my own energy, and therefore I started to create a new reality for my life and pave the way for my future. And to know the future and to understand where you're going, at least, and then maybe not know the future, but you know you're going to have a good life. At least you set an intention for that, and your body starts to move and follow the flows.